welcome to No Question About That. We are reviewing United 4, Bournemouth 4. Madness, frustrating, entertaining, all of the above. That's just Daniel Harris. How's it going?
In the end, I mean, it's frustrating, as you said, but there was some stuff in there that looked a bit like football.
Oh, yeah.
We should be watching, so...
Yeah. United started this game brilliantly. I mean, I don't know what they put in the pre-match tea or whatever they drink these days. Obviously, it's not tea or orange slices or any of that kind of nonsense, but United were really aggressive on the front foot, pressing really high, putting Bournemouth under pressure. They looked fluid, even without I guess you'd call a traditional striker in there, the front four, sometimes front seven, depending on who was pushing forward. They looked good. United could have had several before Bournemouth equalised.
Yeah, because I think when there aren't that many things I like about this formation, but when it does work well, you get someone with Ahmad's ability running with the ball coming from so deep it's quite hard to mark. And then in the middle, you sort of squashed in quite a lot of technical players. Because Casemiro and Bruno aren't a pair that are going to physically dominate, I'm not sure there is a pair that could physically dominate like that in this division. Even if I had two technical brutes, I'd still want another one, really, if I wanted to control the game. And it wouldn't have to be a technical brute, but I'd still want another player with them. I said this last week, but Keane and Vieira, I still want Scholes. I wouldn't want another fucking defender.
Yeah.
And so, but when it works, so like it was tonight, you've got, Cunha, Mount, Bruno, Casemiro, all really good players who are moving the ball really quickly. And so they can play simple passes that are also good passes because they're close together. And what we don't often have is the ability to keep the width, but actually we did an all right job of that, relatively speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of talk before the game about, reporting from Laurie Whitwell about them potentially moving to 4-3-3 during Afcon. Obviously, Amorim has always sort of disavowed the notion that the formation matters. And you can see in various phases of the game, United were in their 3-4-3 or 3-5-1, whatever the hell it actually was, and then moving to something that looked more like four at the back in attacking phases of the game. And you can kind of see that. Of course you can, right? But there's focus on this formation because of what it does to the team. And when Ahmad is in it and flying like that, he has an extra attacker. Amorim talked before the game. He said if we were to move to four at the back, it'd take away an attacker. And I don't think you and I have ever seen it like that, ever. And we've seen it you take away a defender and you have another attacker on the pitch. This is the only sense in which Amorim can be right, really, when you get one or two of the wing-backs pushing deep into the opposition half. And that was true, at least part of tonight. United were brilliant for the first, half an hour or so, and just really should have capitalised much, much more. And that was the good part of Amorim's system.
What I thought also made a difference is Heaven is much better on the ball than De Ligt is.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
And he's able to move away from challenges, carry it forward. He's always trying to look to play a penetrating pass. Not always, but a lot of the time. And there's just enables you to start attacks much quicker. And so I think that's also making a difference. I mean, I'm not saying he's a better centre-back than De Ligt. Maybe overall he isn't. Who knows? I mean, we can see goals from both of them in the team. So
yeah, I think he's got some maturity on... for Semenyo's goal, he didn't cover quick enough for sure. Mount had to go at him after that. You can blame a bunch of players for that one. But
so when he started doing... When they score that goal, in the first instance, obviously it's Shaw that gets bullied off the ball. But yeah, he does have to then come over. And you can see him thinking about it. And I think that what he was originally trying to do was sort of get halfway between them, which is something Laurent Blanc used to do. So that's basically, if you're halfway, that's the hardest pass for them to play. And then it just, the play unfolded. He ended up being further away from it than he thought he was going to be. What he did, but I mean, I've written in my notes something like what they've written. Yeah, there'll be you watch thinking there'll be another chance along in a minute, but these counts because at some point they're gonna do that.
Yeah, That's the frustrating. We don't seem to have been able to get the balance between attack and defence at any point, really, under Amorim. I mean, it's true under Ten Hag as well. That many of these games, we feel like they've got 5 defenders on the pitch with 2 sitting in front of them, and we can't create chances. It's 3.5 XG tonight, 4 goals. I'm sure in some models it'll be even more XG than that, depending how they interpret some of the chances. Because it was about 99, wasn't it? 0.99 for Ahmad's goal, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and it's also the one that Bruno missed in front of the net. Not Bruno, right? Bruno, sorry.
Yeah, well, oh God, yeah. He should have had a couple tonight. Yeah, his finishing was a bit off,
wasn't it? He did not play well tonight.
We just don't seem to get that balance quite right. And I think it's true that we'll never have control in this system. I just don't see it. I mean, you even see it when United didn't try and play out the back too much really tonight. When Heaven had it, as you say, he's much more penetrative. When Lomans have it, they just go long all the time and they really only keep the ball 50% of the time, right? It's going into Mount in the half space and it's bouncing off him. Not his forte,
But what I also think is you're in this situation where you don't have a centre forward on the pitch. And one of the reasons, obviously, is Šeško's been injured, food poisoning, whatever, but it's a decision every time for the manager. Does he play Šeško basically or does he play Mount? And the reason you're doing that is you're compensating for the man in midfield that you don't have. And so what he said about having an attack of fewer is bullshit, because what you're actually doing is you're not playing a centre forward almost because you played an extra centre back. And the problem that I have with this, one of the things I was thinking about watching the goals that they scored today as they sashay through the middle again, is that Rio Ferdinand, I think I recounted this, like he said that on here a while ago, he was talking about when he started playing at the back and he realised that he didn't like attackers running at him. So he made sure that he would organise the people in front of him so that didn't have to happen. And the way that we're sort of the other way around, because we have the extra defender, not the extra midfield player. If you've got like 2 or 3 dickheads from tearing your 3 centre backs, that's a problem. If people are running at your defenders, that's a crisis. Whereas if you've got an extra man in midfield, you might stop that from happening in the first place.
Stop it beforehand. Yeah.
And be controlling the game.
Yeah, he was really dismissive of this notion in his Friday press conference, wasn't he? About he was specifically asked, did he rate Mainu and would he bring him to the middle? Then he extended his answer to talk about, well, you think bringing Mainu into the middle gets an extra midfielder in there. I think it takes an attacker away. I'm paraphrasing that. And, the rights and wrongs of Mainu being in the side or not, fine, we can talk about that. I'm sure we will. But the rights and wrongs of having 3 men in midfield, it's always compensating one way or the other. And I think it's likely to put more pressure on that back 3. Now, can they create additional overloads to compensate for that? They did over and over again tonight in attacking phases of play. But you saw Bournemouth, who've got an absolutely dreadful away record at the moment and can't score goals away from home, just cutting through us all the time. And so, and it's funny because, we can rightly be accused of flip-flopping on this, because so much of the time we've complained on this pod about how defensive United are with 5 defenders and 2 sitting in front. And it was almost the opposite tonight. And that balance has not happened. And he's tinkering around. He talked about it in his press conferences. I'm trying to find solutions to help us win games.
I'm he shouldn't necessarily still be tinkering at this point, but I sort of prefer him to be tinkering than to be accepting the fucking dross that we've seen until this point.
For sure, yeah.
And if it has taken until now, let's say for him to go, okay, like what I thought was going to work is not going to work, but look at all these attacking players I've got. And that's what we saw on the pitch tonight, that if you just let them go, they will obviously score goals. There's loads of good attackers there, and we had a lot of them on the pitch at once tonight. It felt almost what felt like the first time. And obviously, there's also the problem of the lack of control, and that seems to me to be a facility of his system, as you just said. And obviously it would change if you got 2 players, but then if you did get 2 players to midfield, then you're either getting rid of Bruno, who I guess we'll come to at some point. That would seem like a very wise thing to do, or you're not playing Cunha or Mbumo. And again, if you played 4-3-3, you could.
Yeah, I mean, there's one analysis that would say Ahmad would be the player sacrificed if you played 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, and that's probably true. Although over a longer season, he'd get plenty of games, and he was
You
great
hope that
in periods tonight. So
you hope that you have a lot of games so that it's not like that.
yeah, and it's really hard
And
to be sane about a game like that where it's so chaotic and it opened up, and especially what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4 goals just either side of half time, basically. And think about, are we seeing a path forward for a better Amorim side? Well, maybe there's parts of this. We've scored a lot of goals. We've got a lot of XG over the season now. It's 4 goals twice in a row. That's good.
and
But
if
you can see
look,
you can't keep clean sheets ever. You just don't pick up enough points.
But you can also say if you go and buy another wing back for the left and 2 midfield players, and you get the signings right, or 2 of them are right, then the team will definitely be a lot better. But we always say this, that you're relying on the players at this point, really, not the system, which is possible. Because I think what we started to see and we saw tonight was the chemistry with the players is building. Like they're a bit more intuitive in the way that they're building attacks. I mean, maybe if I'm saying intuitive here, the manager would be like, actually, you fucking practice that, dickhead.
Sure.
And
yeah.
fair enough if that's true. But the combinations, I mean, Bournemouth sort of go man to man. They do give you space to play. If you can move the ball quickly, like they're trying to kind of cage you in, and then so if you can spring them with switches, then and obviously we've got players that can really do that. I saw a lot of it tonight. But the way that they're combining, they were starting to play like they were enjoying. Like the players, obviously, they looked like they were going to throw up at the end. Most of them, rightly so. And the manager, like I'm not quite. I don't know him well enough. I don't feel personally to know if he looked like he was going to cry or if he was going to punch someone. Like it was, or maybe both, but they looked like they were enjoying playing. Cunha was starting to play with confidence, and that was better. I mean,
yeah,
I felt like there was more to like about that performance than there was to hate about that performance. Ultimately,
I agree,
and it's not a high bar, is it?
No, well, not under Amorim, or in fact,
I'm buzzing
over the last 13 years
to draw fucking 4-4 with Bournemouth.
There's something about Mount and Cunha being in the same side that means that we're much more flexible, much more sophisticated in how we're able to attack, because they both drop into these difficult spaces to defend, especially Cunha, right? He's comfortable in pretty much any area of the pitch. You saw him in the centre circle a lot of the second half, starting attacks, and I think that makes United a much better team. Of course, the sacrifice there is that we didn't have a centre forward on, and there's a big gap in the middle of the opposition box where you want players, but it's that is the challenge. We have one forward. If it's not Cunha and it's Sesko, then United aren't as smooth in the build up. And we had the sacrifice there, but it kind of worked most of the game.
Yeah, the aim ultimately is to get Mount out there, clearly, because they brought Bruno and Cunha. I mean, obviously you want competition. And I suppose at the time they bought those players, they had no idea if Mount was going to be fit or not. They had got almost assumed that he's not.
Yeah.
So it's just that they should really, ideal world is those 3 are competing for 2 places in this formation, and then Sesko plays up front. Because I mean, if you've brought him to be a centre forward, and I mean, I thought we spammed a few too many high crosses in towards the end today, actually. I'd like really much better when we were trying to play through them. And obviously when they're sitting back, that's harder to do. But felt like when we were chasing it right at the end, we lost patience a little bit. But yeah, the aim ultimately will be that Mount doesn't play, I suppose. But
yeah, and that I mean, he's actually having a good season. The funny thing is he's actually fit and staying fit, and you shouldn't curse him, I suppose, because, blow on him the wrong way and he'd probably break. But that absolutely competition, you then have a whole bunch of players who can play in that position, and the pain that we're going to feel now over the next 6 or 7 games with Amanda and Mbeumo wouldn't be felt quite as strongly. It is going to be felt very strongly, I imagine, because so much of what is good about United comes from those 2 in particular. At least the sort of direct running, they're really the only ones.
I guess it does get Sesko in the team.
Yep.
And I think, like he's not like physically. He looked good physically in this game. I thought he looked like I don't want that guy anywhere near me. It's like he's starting to understand the rhythm of the league. And obviously, it was a stretch game, which is helpful. And sometimes he can look a bit clumsy, but I think what we saw before this latest injury was that once he's played a few games, he starts to look a little bit less clumsy. And I think because he'll now play instead of say Mbeumo, and that'll be interesting to see. Cunha's got a bit of confidence. Mount next to him. The problem really, we said it at the time when we were talking about it the first time, was that Ahmad actually probably will miss more than Mbeumo, because when he's not a wing back, we need an attacker short. Not sure what we do about that.
I mean, I assume Dalot will go over to the right and Dorgu will come in on the left, but it is going to make a big difference to United's attacking output for sure. Yeah, and the worst of United under Amorim is when we have two fullbacks at wing back. Although, mind you, the more we shit on Dalot, the better he seems to play. So maybe we should do that more often. Yeah, he's actually been pretty good.
He played all right. He played all right tonight. And I don't know how on the Sky feed that tackle that thing he gets booked for when he on Semenyo, how they managed to talk about that on the television without mentioning Harry Kane, whose signature piece it was. Like when someone's in the air and you bump them and they go over the top of you.
Yeah. Big ass.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he played okay today, Dalot. Yeah.
By the way, on that moment when Semenyo grabs Dalot around the throat, I remember Casemiro getting a red card and a 4-match ban for doing exactly the same thing. Basically.
Gary Neville in commentary goes, "Oh, I thought he touched his chin, but actually it's just a chokehold. Just got to the chokehold," he said. "Oh, is that it?"
I mean, they were pretty much building gallows to hang Casemiro outside the FA headquarters.
I don't want people sent off for that stuff, so I can't.
No, neither do I, but it's just consistency.
What did you think about the penalties that we didn't get for the handballs?
Oh, the first one, I mean, that's really close, isn't it? And it's spammed off his upper arm, is it?
I thought the second one where it felt like I think there was a lean towards it. I thought they did one that they did quite.
Is that the one where Cunha shoots?
Oh goodness, I can't remember.
Yeah, it's too much in this game to remember all of it. Yeah. For the goals, I mean, Dalot's put in a lovely ball that kind of sets up the goal for Ahmad to score. Couldn't really miss. I don't know what XG that was, but it's got to be 0.99 or something like that. Let's have a look. Expected goals, 0.96. Expected goals on target, 0.94. How can that only be 0.9? They see, you shouldn't talk about expected goals for individual events. It's an aggregate model. 0.94. After he's headed the ball, there's less of a chance of it going into the goal than before he's headed the ball. Yeah, that's wrong. But the easiest chance they'll ever get, even for a little one like Ahmad.
But I liked it because I want him doing that. I want him attacking the back post.
Yeah. The extra man in there and in those kind of situations for sure. Yeah.
His corners were quite good today, actually, a couple of them.
11 set-piece goals we've now got this season with Casemiro's. Some really dodgy keeping for that one, by the way.
But Casemiro, he goes forward with the intention of making something happen. Because it came from him winning the header just previously that looked like it was going to go in and it got blocked. But I mean, if he were to leave at the end of the season, or if at some point we sign someone better than him, that'd be helpful. But we will miss him in that aspect. He is good in both boxes.
11 goals is a lot of free goals, by the way, to get. Semenyo, I thought, I mean, he's a brilliant player. There's a lot of talk about him recently because he's got this £65 million release clause. I can't see it happening. Literally don't have the cash to pay for it if they demanded it all up front in the way that Wolves did. We don't even have the room on the credit card. So I'm not even sure how they'd have to extend the credit facility to do it. So it seems unlikely. A lot of talk about converting him to a left wing back. I mean, he seems more like a forward to me. I don't know his defensive ability would fit there exactly, but a brilliant player.
Yeah. I mean, his goal was a great finish. I mean, you'd only buy him if you were going to make him a wing back. And it's sort of, we're at that point with buying a wing back, aren't we? Where part of you is like, well, am I definitely wanting to keep this manager? Spaffin 60s on a wing back.
The more that we've seen of Amorim, it's 59 games, I think. The more I've convinced myself, and tell me if you think differently, that actually most of the positions are pretty specialist. I think when he first came in, I thought, it's really only the wing backs. But actually, the way he has his 210s tucking in is quite specialist. You couldn't, for example, suddenly move to a 4-2-3-1 with wide players and expect Mateus Cunha to be the same kind of player, for example. Wing backs are definitely specialists, and those outside centre backs have to be able to carry the ball into midfield. They have to be comfortable with that and find the passing angles. So you've got 6 or 7 players that have to be specialists in their positions that might not fit another manager, and it's going to be a big debate.
Yeah, so I'm not so worried about the players not fitting the system, because I think there's a good 4-3-3 team in there, and I think with a couple of options, buying him a wing back, that would be a very specific thing. And I think also in my mind, am I going, if I'm being honest, do I think it's going to work with this guy? If I was betting, I'd say no. I mean, it might, because there are some good players, but do I think he's going to change enough? No, not really. And then it's all on the players and all on his ability to motivate them and organise them. And the portents on that in that aspect are not good.
Yeah, it's really hard to say where the ceiling is. I think there's many times that I'd have said it was about 80-20 in favour of him failing at United. Maybe there's more balance now. We're up to 6th, but the goal difference is 4. I think he has to get a European place, otherwise he will be into the final year of his contract without European football. I would imagine they'd make a change. You can't leave a lame duck. You can't give him a new contract for failing to get into Europe. You can't reward him like that, and then it'd be a lame duck. All the players would know it. So I think that's the goal, European football, or he's probably gone. And then after that, who knows exactly? I mean, United desperately need the European football for the income. Otherwise, it's sell to buy pretty much.
But I think it's at a point, though, where if he were to leave, picking up that squad, I think a lot of managers might fancy that.
Oh God, there's loads of good players. Of course, there's
we can't say these and they're proving it. And look, some of the games now, not all of them.
Yeah,
and obviously the best players prove it in almost all of them, or close to and we need to see that kind of step up. But I guess the only one we've really seen supply that level of consistency in the entirety of the post-Fergie fuck up is Bruno.
Yeah. Well, I want to get onto him in a second. We were going through the goals.
Me too. Me first.
Evan Nilsson scores just after half time. He scored 1 goal all season. He's a good player, but he's not had a good game. And then Tavernier scores a free kick. What did you think about Lamans on the free kick? Do you think he's stepped the wrong way, hasn't he? And then it's too far away from him.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that I think with the first goal before, it's the kind of goal we sort of seem to see a few of those that when you don't defend properly, it seems like teams take their goals really well, because you're giving them the opportunity to do their shit, and they're all good players, obviously, and able to do the good stuff if you let them.
Mm-hmm.
The free kick, I mean, and I think you're like, did he need to take? And he takes a step before he goes for it. I mean, I don't know that much about goalkeeping. I try not to gob off about goalkeeping too much, but yeah, it looked like he could have done better. But I think on the other hand, we've seen quite a lot of goals now, and I don't think most of them have been his fault. And I feel
no,
it's a pleasure having him in goal. And I don't quite know if it's him or just he's not one of the others. But
yeah,
I mean, the save he makes with his leg, the save he makes with his leg was a really brilliant save, because you can see always that decision-making process where his action's so quick. He's about to do hands, and then he realizes it's got to be leg, and he does leg. I mean, he's got potential, and I think if he just continues doing what he's doing, he might be good enough for a good team, because he's not dropping too many bollocks. And if the team's really good, then that can be good enough sometimes. But he's made some brilliant saves as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a lot of hope for him. I think the areas of his game that we haven't seen much of are his passing, because at some point, if United want any kind of control, they can't just hoof it from goal kicks every single time, which is what happens now. He's not bad, actually, over the long range. He gets it into a player quite a lot of the time, but it is then a percentage ball and a bit of a fight for second balls. So we've got to see that. he hasn't made any massive bollocks. I mean, we're nitpicking about the free kick. He probably takes a step to his left too early, but he's anticipating it going the other side. So Anana used to do that as well, by the way, all the time, off everything.
Peter Schmeichel used to do it.
Peter Schmeichel used to do it. He's trying to improve his chances. Finals. Yeah. Well, God, yeah. He knows something
Having
about a low one in the corner.
The same thing in the same goal at the same ground earlier in the season. In the 3-3, he does it. And then he does it again to Basler. Yeah.
Yeah. True. Then Bruno. I just don't know how to keep praising this guy. And it's just amazing to me that anyone has a debate about his quality ever. Like,
he's playing really well at the moment, isn't he?
He's playing really well at the moment. He's getting clutch goals. He's making stuff. He's top of the charts for chance creation, shot creating actions, even from a deeper position.
And his free kick are very high as well.
Yeah, and he sticks his free kick right in the top corner. I mean, what else do you need?
Yeah, he is a good ass footballer. And if he had players around him of his quality, he'd be a proper great of the English game, I would say.
Yes, and I think that's where any of the debate, and of course in social media, like, it's all designed to polarize because that's the only thing that gets engagement these days. But it's his place in a crap United side, mostly crap United side, that creates some of the debate, apart from some twats who do it just to get likes and hits and all of that kind of stuff. But, you know, there'll be another decision point in the summer about Bruno, whether to keep him probably the last time you can get any real value from him in the market that is selling him. And then, but you're not going to, there's no scenario in which you can buy a central midfielder that would create the same amount of both attacking and defensive numbers, right?
Yeah, I guess what you're trying to do is you're trying to balance a team. But again, it's another one I'd be loath to do for those reasons, but also, am I doing it for this guy's system who I might have to fire in 10 minutes? Because let's assume, as you say, Europe or he's fires. If he gets us to seventh maybe, or kind of bare minimum shit, that do we keep him for some bare minimum shit? I mean, I guess it depends a bit what it looks like, but I wouldn't want to sell Bruno and Mainu for that guy.
No. No, I just don't have enough faith in him yet. And it's amazing how the reaction to him, and his name was being sung again tonight. Old Trafford is generally supportive of managers right until the last moment, right? They were still singing David Moyes' name up until the day he got booed and got fired the day afterwards, right? So
no, he got fired. His last game was Everton, because I remember I was at that and Everton was singing "Stuck with Moyes, Stuck with Moyes."
Yeah, that's right. Okay,
it's funny how things now work, and then, but also I remember we were so bad that day. Everyone apart. Matter tried hard, little Matter, but everyone else basically totally turned up by then.
Yeah,
and you're kind of like, part of me was like, because we were being so supportive, the support was being supportive. So at Liverpool with Hodgson, the fans got him fired. They hated him, and they made it unbearable. So they fired him eventually, quite quickly. Whereas with Moyes, we didn't do that, and so the players had to do it for us because they didn't want this guy asking.
They weren't having any of it. Yeah.
Well, and I remember Everton was kind of quite relaxing because it was so bad, and I knew that had to be it. I think I'd heard that it was close to it, and you watched that. It was like, yeah, this is definitely it. Okay, bye. And so, yeah, Moyes.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who else. Oh, Cunha scored. Good for him. I mean, he's not got enough goals this season, but it was a neat enough finish. Ricochet, wasn't it, that got him the ball? Bit lucky there. It's funny, this guy, because the numbers aren't there to support the £70 million purchase. But every time I watch him, I think United are a better side with him in it. He's a beautiful footballer to watch, where the sort of turn he does right at the end, and he plays it into, I think it's Ahmad to Bruno, and Bruno flashes it across the box. What a beautiful goal that would have been. So good for Cunha for getting the goal, because I think is that only 2 he's got this season?
That's 2, yeah. But the other one was the one he gets. It was a good goal, actually, that one, the Brighton one. But what he gives you is he gets you up the pitch, he wins you free kicks, he's got a bit of devil, bit of invention. It was like what I guess what I liked about the goal was that you knew it was going to score. I mean, it wasn't like I suppose a difficult opportunity, but there are definitely players I've been watching. So if United do up in the last bit of time, I wouldn't expect to score from there. And it's taken him a bit of time, but he's getting aggravation, but he's been injured twice.
Yeah.
So what can you do? Like you're somewhere new, the team was on its arse, and injured twice. And as I said, like if you don't play, it's like you need to see the combinations from the players, and then you need to play to do that. And generally, it's going to take time, particularly when you're adding two players like that, him and new centre forward, and him and Mbeumo into a team that wasn't good. Like it might gel immediately, but it doesn't generally. But I mean, you watch tonight and you think there's something to work with here. And even thinking about the defending, which wasn't good. The first goal, I felt like what happens, I think, is Heaven goes to the man and Euro drops and plays him on side. And those guys can't have played together very much. You'd hope that would also be something that you could iron out. But obviously he loves changing the centre-backs, but
every time.
The problem again is, though, and it brings me back to the same problem, is it's getting to there when it doesn't need to get to there.
Yeah.
Even like before Casemiro, like he pulls the guy down before the free kick because he has to, but he's still running through the midfield. And I mean, also on the free kick, by the way, I also wondered if Lammens organised his wall properly or something, because it sort of went, shouldn't really from that close. Should you be able to get around the side of the wall and score and it not even be right in the corner? Like there was something about it that didn't look right. And as I said, like I don't know very. Like, I mean, I could obviously watch goalkeeping, but I haven't kept goal enough to be able to really know. But that was how it felt.
Where does it leave us? 6th, just outside. I mean, it's so tight. These 7 points. If we'd scored these 7 points, if we'd got these 7 points, the last 3 home games, Everton, West Ham, this one, is that right? Well, I can't. I
mean, Everton. Exactly. I wouldn't say. I mean, we have. I mean, Everton though we lost. It's just if this felt like this was 2 points that we should have had. We played well enough to have them. We should have had them.
Amorim said after the game that he felt that we'd lost the game or lost the points. Sorry, in the first half, which I think is probably true, but I don't know whether if we'd won 6-4, I mean, it'd have been great.
I mean, you know what he means. You know, I mean, there's obviously that's not really true because we were 2-1 up at half time and then we conceded twice, fuck all time at the beginning of the second half. So I'd say, I mean, you know what he means. Like when you're dominating a game like that, all the teams in our league have good players and you get punished, rightly so, if you can't finish your game when you should.
Cobby came on for half an hour or so. I thought it was pretty good. Probably his best cameo this season. Not that he hasn't played a full 90 at all.
I guess the game style suited him because it was a basketball match towards the end. It meant like there's lots of opportunities to get on the ball because the ball's being circulated quite a lot.
Yep.
And I guess we saw why he's good. Like there was some close quarters wizardry and he was trying to go forward, trying to push the play on, which is something he needs to add. But at the same time, we also see why him in this system is suboptimal, even if he would be a better option than Casemiro. Who knows? We don't get to see it. But I mean, we certainly it was from the very beginning. It's if he's in a 2, the other him and Bruno is not really a 2, is it?
Not really. Yeah. I think you could convince yourself it is, but I think the profile isn't quite right. But I'm glad he did well.
Him and Cunha would almost feel like more of a 2 than him and Bruno, because Cunha at least gives you the physicality and like press resistance and then the ball carrying.
I'd like to see Cunha having to put 10 tackles in a game. That would be fun. Yeah, I mean, Cobby will be around until the end of Afcon or till the players back from Afcon, I'm sure, and then they'll make a decision right at the end of the window whether he gets sort of 4 or 5 months away somewhere else to play some football or not. What did you make of Amorim's presser, which I've watched a couple of times now, in which he said some quite negative things about Cobby, Toby Collier, Harry Amas? he picked another one of the younger players out. I forget which one now. Cheeto, yeah. I thought it was not a great look. And if you're going to do that, you have to win a lot of games.
You kind of try and make excuses, because you try not to make excuses for him, but you try and give him the benefit of the doubt for someone speaking in a second language. When he said that Amas had been struggling, does he mean in a struggling team?
But then why send him there? If that's justification,
yeah, and also what would that have to do with your desire to play the youth or not?
Yeah,
but the reason, but it's weird because he's been doing really well.
He has, yeah.
Like by any objective standard, he's been excellent.
What it said to me was that he was trying to make a point about these guys aren't quite as good as you think they are. I know best, right? You think these guys are great. I don't, right? I think he's trying to make that point. And two, he doesn't watch the games. He has no idea how Harry Amas or Toby Collier's been injured a couple of times. That's why he hasn't been in the team for West Brom recently. I just don't think he watches them. Fergie would never have said something like that. I mean, he could be very pointed about players, but he knew what every single player was doing.
Yeah, and also just don't be negative about young players. Why would you?
What's the benefit?
Necessary. And also, like Amas and Collier, that's not the same thing as Mainu, who has started a major European Championship final for England, having played all the way through the knockouts and competed. And also been man of the match in a cup final against City that United won. You can't lump him in with them. He's not done loads, obviously. I'm not trying to beat him up, but he's someone who's done some stuff in the game, and other people have thought he was a good player.
Yep.
Not just amateurs, not like us and journalists, whatever. Actual professionals and other managers think that he's good. And I mean, on the other hand, would Arteta sign him? Would Arsenal sign him? Would Liverpool sign him? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that one, and we don't know the path, but he's lost a year of football. So I think I'm less worried about the kind of, because we've talked about Cobby so much. I think the general attitude from Amorim seems to be, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Don't question me about this. I know better. And then he said a few things he probably should have shut his mouth about.
I guess so. So looking at it from his perspective, then is he thinking they're forcing me to say that I don't think these guys are any good, and I've tried not to do it. What can I do here? But there's a positive way of doing it where you say, but they're not. It's not a problem with Amas and Collier. No one's saying, why isn't Collier playing or anything? No one thinks Collier's going to play for United, right? But again, with Mainu, it's a different thing because he can't. With Collier and Amas, he can go, well, Amas is there to get experience. He's doing really well. In theory, this is what he could have said. He's doing really well. But Mainu's at a different stage in his career. So if he says he doesn't think Mainu is good enough, that's kind of a problem.
Back in the days when I was in the corporate world, one of my bosses said to me, ignore anything anyone says before the but, right? And so he was asked, do you rate Cobby Mainu? And he was like, of course I rate Cobby Mainu, but... And then he went into all the stuff, and...
But also, to give him no football like this when we've been shit like this does feel like you don't give a fuck about his development. And I don't enjoy that.
No, neither do I. Keeping a player for a full season while giving him somewhere between 3 and maybe 30 minutes a game is a young player. That does seem pretty destructive.
And also, you need rhythm. It's not even like he's getting half an hour every game or whatever. Sometimes he's getting jack shit. And the idea that we could produce a player with his natural talent and not at least not try and make it work is annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I think we've always been honest about him on here. We know that he's not a perfect player, but if you put him in a 4-3-3, you've got to be able to turn him into a player.
It was Laurie Whitwell that reported they'd been training in a 4-3-3. So when United go to Aston Villa at the weekend, if they turn out in a 4-3-3 and Cobby is the link player between, well, it won't be Casemiro because he's suspended between Ugarte and Fernandes, then we'll find out, I suppose.
I think so. I mean, he's been talking about Mainu playing as a six. He did talk about that, didn't he, in this press conference also? And maybe you just got to do it this time. Maybe you play, 4-3-3, Mainu, Bruno, and fuck knows.
Ugarte.
No.
I know. There is a guy who will need to be sold at some point. Presumably
Bruno. So my midfield, I'm going to go mainly Bruno Cunha. That'd be my midfield.
What a baller. Who's playing up front in that case?
Yeah, I know. He's playing on the right wing. I was just thinking that.
Well, since we're on it, how do United play at Villa? I mean, you've got a Villa side who've won some crazy amount of games in a row now, or they've got...
They're conceding goals, though.
Yeah, I can see that. I think they've won 10 out of 11 or something like that. Amazingly, the one they lost in this run was to Liverpool.
Like Victor Lindelof apparently played well for them this weekend. I mean, come on.
Like, no, I've not.
Like, I would be telling Sesko to run over him physically. Sesko's all over.
Just beat him up. Yeah. But what's the team going to look like? No Ahmad, no Mbumo, no Mazraoui, no Casemiro. Sesko without much football for the last month.
I mean, do we have any option but to play Ugarte? I mean, if he plays the same formation, I would, and I don't think he'll do it, I would play Martinez, although he was perhaps a step slow for one of the goals today, but we just got to get him back in the team. And I'd play Shaw at left wing back. And then my midfield too, it feels like suicidal to say Bruno Mainu, but at the same time, I can't really be doing with Ugarte. I don't think that's going to be good. It hasn't played. And one of the things because we've been talking about Mainu is, again, it's that rhythm. So, and it's the same with Ugarte, even though I think he's whack, even though I think he's shit. If he played in all the games, he wouldn't be as shit, probably. And you still don't do that because him not being as shit is still quite shit. But if you keep putting players in positions and just saying, right, play at an elite level, but not very many can do that.
I can't find a lineup that I'm happy with. Unfortunately, there's going to be a compromise somewhere. Sesko can't. I mean, he's trained for a little while. He got the shits apparently, which affected him this week. Probably why he didn't start, but just has not had enough football. Cunha's not that far back from being just fit again.
I'm kind of hoping that means we're going to be strong over this period because the players, like those guys haven't played that much football.
And they're fresh.
And
true.
Yeah, and they're also better than we've seen.
Yeah. You've got a Villa team that does play three in the middle, so we'll have to counter that without Casemiro. That takes away a lot of our aerial threat from set pieces as well, and defensive solidity there. That's an issue. They have got some big bastards in the middle, or at least Onana is a big bastard, isn't he? Tielemans playing really well at the moment.
Yeah, and they've also got some good subs as well. Like Marlon's a good sub. Morgan Rogers is obviously a high-level player and someone that... Yeah, I mean, I guess he'd have relied on Casemiro to try and foul, but he's not fair to do it.
He's fully going to enjoy running at United's back three, for sure.
Their high line, I think we can enjoy their high line also.
Yeah, very true.
I definitely would want Sesko for that.
And to beat up on Victor Lindelof, as you said.
yeah, that one's for Daniel Harris. I wanted to say that.
Yeah, in the mix zone afterwards. Dan...
See if I can tie Sky Lindelof, but yeah, amazing that he's played that many games for United.
400 of them.
Yeah.
About 390 of them with Harry Maguire, who was at the stadium tonight, but is still not fit. I don't know about Matthias de Ligt. They've given no information on when he'll return.
I mean, it's one of those things where there's like part of me that doesn't mind that they're not fit because I feel like we can get really good with either of them? And the answer to that is probably no. And the answer to that with the others probably no as well, but I'm not as certain. So because even if Amorim, if it doesn't work with Amorim, and we're stuck if we go back to a back four. Definitely, I can't imagine a situation where Harrants or De Ligt are in my first two.
Yeah, it really does depend on the style. If there was a new manager, how high they want that line to play. What?
But because it's not going to be. It's not going to be a manager that wants to defend the box. Like they're not.
No.
Like whoever it would be, it's not going to be that. It's going to be someone that wants pacey defenders. You can defend the space behind. Who can defend high and win races. I mean, I feel like Amorim sort of sometimes wants that, but then he likes to drop back very quickly into a back five and defend the box. But that's also, I suppose, a facility of people just waltzing through the midfields.
Oh dear. All right. Well, it's going to be a testing period. Villa, Newcastle, Wolves again. I think over Christmas it is.
Yes, we'll definitely win that one.
Wolves are pretty bad. Newcastle are not playing well at the moment. They created, I think it was 0.29 XG against Sunderland.
They were poor against Sunderland, but I feel like we're one of those teams that teams like to play their way back into form against, like we just saw this evening, actually.
We did our best. Well, look, it was a victory, not a victory. It was 4 goals, lots of entertainment, a bit of chaos ball. I guess I'd rather have that than 0-0 against some shite and playing 7 at the back that we've seen.
Oh yeah, that was a much more enjoyable game than most of the others we've seen, and also it's not the highest standard of game, but there was a lot of good football played. There was a lot of nice combinations, some great goals, and that's, I guess, when you've got 2 teams with good attackers who are playing with freedom, then it's enjoyable to see, but defending's obviously got to be better than that. But it's not just about the defending, it's about the defenders have to do more defending than you would want them to do at home to Bournemouth, because the system invites it upon them. And defenders don't want to defend. You shouldn't want them to want to defend, really. I mean, they want the ball to be down the other end. But you can at the same time see the attacking players are gelling better. So we'll get better, but it's going to keep getting hindered by the manager system, I imagine.
All right, well, we'll find out against Villa exactly how it goes. It's tough with some of these absences. Everyone, you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/NQAT pod for our extra show each week, and merch for higher tiers. I actually owe a bunch of people merch. I know I do. I admit it's not my strong point. Sorry. Or our Apple podcast feed as well. Very good. Dan, thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone.